time and additional evidence may force us to confront the fact that Gavin Newsom is a psychotic serial killer who is guilty beyond the shadow of a doubt. I'm just saying we are not at that point right now. Yet.
California's super stylish governor, Gavin Newsom, looks like he's got it all together with his shiny hair. But there's some messy stuff going on. This guy named Stu Burguiere isn't just spilling the tea. He's tossing it everywhere, while Gavin tries to clean it up. We're talking about some big mistakes and old stories you wouldn't believe. This isn't just chit-chat. It's like a super juicy roast. Keep listening, because once Stu starts digging into Gavin's past, you'll never see California's favorite hair guy the same way again.
Has made Gavin Newsom suddenly vulnerable to being recalled. Started out as it looked like Gavin Newsom was going to kind of cruise to a victory here and avoid the recall, but COVID might be changing things a little bit.
Well, part of the reason I wrote the column was I am having a bit of a change of heart, and part of it is because last time I was on Glenn Beck's show with you, Glenn asked me, and I said that I didn't think that the recall was going to win. I don't think that that's necessarily my position today. To be clear, I'm not betting that Gavin Newsom is going to lose. That would be just too good. The world doesn't seem to work that way.
If you're liking this, hit that subscribe button. It helps a ton. Gavin Newsom changes his style so much, he makes a new iPhone look boring. California's governor doesn't just tweak his look. He switches it up every time someone coughs in Sacramento. And now we're on Gavin Newsom version 10.0, which means we've seen like 9 other versions that were glitchier than a super old computer.
Yeah, how is the media handling this, though? I know that like the California media can be very powerful. They don't. You would think they'd be protecting Gavin Newsom at all costs here.
Well, a large part of the column that I wrote for Mediaite is about how I predict the media will handle this situation. Stu, one of the more frustrating elements of this circumstance to me, someone who loathes Gavin Newsom, my young children call him Governor Poosum, largely because of the COVID restrictions that have greatly destroyed their lives over the last 18 months for, in my opinion, no reason for young, healthy children.
At first, we had young star Gavin. Remember him? The guy with hair shinier than a puddle of oil and a smile so bright it could blind you. He was the new kid in the Democratic Party, looking like he was posing for a love story book cover called Laws of Love.
Breaking news, police have linked several deadly shootings in Stockton and Oakland, California to a potential serial killer. So far, 7 shootings, 6 of them fatal, have been attributed to the potential murderer. Because this is California, I know what you're thinking. And yes, I understand why you would think it. It makes a lot of sense, obviously. But we need to deal with facts here. We have no evidence at this time that links Gavin Newsom to these murders.
California voters thought they were getting a super cool leader like John F. Kennedy. But instead, they got a guy who changes his vibe to whatever gets him the most claps that week. Then, boom, like a wild TV show twist, we got Playboy Gavin. This wasn't just a little oops, like forgetting to pay a parking ticket.
There's some developing news in relation to the serial killings in California going on. An arrest has been made. However, it's very troubling. Here we have a sitting governor trying to win another term, and he's yet to be officially cleared of these killings. No statement, nothing. No, radio silence completely, and still no one coming forward to defend Gavin Newsom and say that he's innocent. Why? And then out of nowhere, a black man is arrested? I've never been a big believer of the systemic racism claims, but this is highly suspicious.
Nope, this was the kind of drama that could ruin family dinners forever. Gavin got caught dating his best friend's wife. Yeah, nothing says, trust me, like borrowing your friend's car and their spouse. Forget bad choices and laws. This one should have sent him to live in a cave with super spotty Wi-Fi, so he couldn't tweet. But Gavin wasn't done. Next came anti-Trump Gavin. His whole deal was just, I don't like Donald Trump. That's it. That was his big show. Forget fixing California's problems like crime or homeless camps that popped up like tents at a music festival. Gavin just stood there shaking his fist at Trump like that made him a superhero. California's problems were piling up like dirty clothes, and Gavin's big move was yelling, I don't like that guy. Super leader vibes, right? Then came DEI Master Gavin. This version thought solving health problems was more about looking good than picking the best experts. So, when California needed a top-notch disease expert, he picked someone who fit his diversity checklist instead of the most qualified person, right before a huge global health crisis.
You're feeling it. I know your friends are saying it. I know it makes perfect sense. But with all that said, we cannot definitively attach Gavin Newsom to these crime scenes yet. I mean, we should also note that he's not officially been cleared of these crimes in any way, shape, or form. I repeat, I have not heard one person say that Gavin Newsom didn't do these terrible things. And yeah, that is weird, considering he's the governor and a very famous public figure. You'd think someone would step up and say he didn't do this, but so far, no.
Imagine kicking out your airplane pilot mid-flight because you wanted someone who looked cooler on Instagram. That's the kind of choice we're talking about. California didn't get safety, it got a fancy ad. Then came Dictator Gavin, the guy who made emergency rules his whole personality. He shut down cities, closed shops, and told everyone to wear masks, while he was chilling at a fancy restaurant called French Laundry with a bunch of important people. Rules are for regular folks, apparently. That's when Versailles Gavin showed up, strolling through French Laundry like a king with awesome hair gel. It looked so bad, you'd think his helpers were secretly working for his rivals. Nothing says, "I'm one of you," like eating a $350 dinner while people couldn't visit their sick family in hospitals. If irony could make power, California's lights would have stayed on forever.
I mean, look at all the famous serial killers of all time. I mean, what do they all have in common? Jeffrey Dahmer, Ted Bundy, the BTK killer, Dennis Rader, John Wayne Gacy, just to name a few. There's a pattern here, guys, a distinctly white pattern. White, middle-aged, ordinary-looking dudes. That's who's out there committing all the serial killings, not black people. Now take a look at these two pictures side by side. Given what we know about serial killers, who seems like they might be guilty of all of these crimes? We don't have all the evidence yet. None of the...
But Gavin kept embarrassing himself. Next up was Debate Club Gavin, who thought he could take on Ron DeSantis. He walked onto the stage all confident, but got totally crushed like a substitute teacher who walked into the wrong class. He thought he was a champ, but left looking like he got lost. After that, Debate Club Gavin disappeared, and California voters were left wondering why they keep picking a guy who flops faster than a wobbly lawn chair. When people asked if he was planning to run for president, Gavin turned into Party Line Gavin. Joe Biden could trip over a sandcastle, and Gavin would jump to a microphone to call it a bold move about saving beaches. But that loyal act didn't last long. Soon we got centrist Gavin, who suddenly said he didn't like some DI stuff and thought men playing in women's sports was a bad idea. That lasted about as long as a quick text. By the next morning, he switched to Manosphere podcaster Gavin, trying to act like a cool guy like Joe Rogan.
Look, Gavin Newsom is currently running for re-election, and when there is such a serious charge on the table, it can be difficult to understand what you're supposed to do as a voter. If you're in California and you want to take the risk of having a potential, but not confirmed, serial killer in office, that's definitely something you can do. That option is available to you. Just remember, it's a lot harder to recall and imprison someone once they're voted into office. That's all.
Picture him sipping a health drink, acting like the chill dad who totally gets it. Spoiler, he didn't get it. Californians weren't buying it either. And now we've got his latest version, social media troll Gavin. The guy who used to act all serious is now posting memes like a kid who just found a meme app. He's sharing fake pictures of people like Tucker Carlson and Kid Rock praying for him, as if anyone thinks Kid Rock prays. It's not clever. It's just a desperate try to be funny. Even the White House clapped back with their own meme, because apparently that's how politics works now, just trading funny pictures. Forget laws or plans. It's all about meme battles now. So here's the deal with Gavin. He doesn't just walk into politics. He struts in like he's on a movie set. It's less about helping people and more like he's trying out for a role in a Netflix show nobody wanted.
But to the people of California, you have to realize where you stand right now. It can't be ruled out that you have a serial killer on your hands and on the ballot, and maybe a racist serial killer at that. Ask yourself one question, voters of California. Can you risk it?
The guy treats being governor like it's a big photo shoot. Half the time, you can't tell if he's making a rule or selling fancy hair gel made from magical unicorn tears. That's why Stu's takedown is so fun. Under all that hair and that big smile, there's a past that looks more like a wild TV drama than a president's resume. We're talking failed businesses, weird friendships, and family drama that could be its own reality show. Think Keeping Up with the Kardashians mixed with boring government meetings. That's Gavin's early career. He thought nobody would notice because he was too busy smiling at himself. Let's talk about his big business days. Gavin acted like a super rich restaurant boss with fancy wine bars, but it was really just overpriced spots where politicians paid too much for wine to seem normal.
Restrictions for me, but not for thee. You don't get to have your Thanksgiving, but they surely will. You don't get to have your group dinners out, but they surely do. You don't get to get your hair done, but they do. You don't get to send your kids to school, but don't worry, they've got tutors. Today, New York City has announced that as of Thursday, all schools for all kids are closed. 300,000 kids, already screwed up enough for having to live in New York City, now also can't go to school because the positive test rate had risen above 3%.
Stu says this wasn't some huge business empire. It was more like, how much can I charge for a salad before people figure it out? Spoiler, they figured it out. And when those businesses started to flop, instead of being humble, Gavin acted like he was born to lead. Like, a failed wine bar totally means you should run California, right? The best part is how Stu ties it all together. He shows Gavin as a guy who keeps messing up but somehow gets bigger jobs, like the kid who causes trouble at school but still gets to be class president because he's got a great smile. That's Gavin, one mistake after another, wrapped in a fancy suit with that famous smirk. And don't forget his family. His connections are so messy, it's like a big drama story. It's less I made it on my own, and more I was born with a VIP pass. But the funny thing is, Gavin tries to act like he's just like us. Stu totally calls him out because, come on, nobody believes that.
California invasion. And I could do a show entitled The California Invasion, and we can make it like all about the border, right? Where people are crossing the border into California and disrupting those communities. We could talk about the invasion of the Soros DAs. We could talk about the invasion into California of so many homeless people and crime and all of the problems that are facing California. But no, that's not what we're doing today. We're doing the opposite. We're talking about how California is attempting to invade the rest of the country. I'm sick of it. Are you sick of it?
The guy wears super expensive suits and has vacation homes like their jewelry. When Gavin says he gets regular people, it's like a super rich guy saying he knows what it's like to live on minimum wage. It just doesn't work. And then there's the scandals. Oh, the scandals. Stu reminds us Gavin's personal life has more twists than a soap opera. We're talking relationships that made headlines, love drama that shocked everyone, and a reputation that's more Hollywood gossip than trusted leader. From failed businesses to family ties to juicy headlines, Gavin looks less like a governor and more like a cartoon of someone chasing fame. And you can't help but laugh because he still poses like he's ready to be president.
And as we approach Thanksgiving, just over a week away, the government is telling you that you can't go see your friends and loved ones. But you know who can do that? Gavin Newsom, of course, governor of California. You see, he's better than you. He gets to go out with his friends, unless, of course, he gets caught. And then we have an edition of Newsom Theater.
Here's the thing. Gavin Newsom has been building his image forever, making it shiny like a fancy car. But every time Stu peels back a layer, that car looks more like a broken down junker. It's shiny, sure, but it's been making weird noises from the start. And the best part? Gavin thinks nobody notices because he's too busy giving speeches. Stu hears it loud and clear and brings the sarcasm like a mechanic who's done with excuses. By the time he's finished, Gavin looks less like a future president and more like a guy who got kicked off a reality show but keeps hanging around. Stu makes it clear this isn't about politics. It's about a guy trying to play a part he's not ready for. And California's stuck with him.